cursing after the nip slip is what did it. But no,
No.
I see.
No, it was much like any other government policy. It's a hammer to fix a small crack in a piece of glass, shattering the entire thing.
A small nip, if you will.
Yeah, it wasn't a crack. That was a totally different thing.
A small crack.
Would have added more additional stuff to it. Yeah, but no, don't stress about it. Don't stress
All
about it.
right. Sounds
Guys,
good.
freaking welcome to Monomaniacs.
Yep.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Dude, we got Vince here, dude. I completely forgot how to pronounce your last name, dude.
Cañete.
Cañete.
Dude, you wouldn't be the first. I
Yeah.
think the worst mess up. It's like a gym teacher. He's like, Vince Canteen. I'm just like, dude, you know how to spell canteen,
Yeah.
Like, that's not even close. So I don't know what
Canteen
you're
doing.
have
the little mustache
yeah.
over it.
Yeah. Well, you got to think about it though, for the perspective of this poor guy. Probably went to state school, for 4 years for physical education. Comes in and he's like, he sees the word Jesus and he says Jesus. Foreign languages, the letters they don't make different noises. They make those American noises.
Well, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Chicago.
Yeah,
Illinois,
so
in the States.
Yeah, I
so-
guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago. It's not a very diverse place. It's like you're either white or black in Chicago, right?
What? Is that how it works? Yeah, I think so, right?
I don't know about that, dude. I've definitely been on both sides, man. Oh man, yeah. I hung out in. I grew up in Chicago, and oh man, thinking back about like the young days is always traumatizing. Like, what was I doing in like the ghetto, man? Like, why was I hanging out with these people?
You were just hanging out, man. You were just there to have a good time.
Dude, that was not a good time, and I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
On like a rebellious streak or something.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of ours, David Ramirez, and yesterday, and he was telling me, because we were talking about shooting like recreationally, and he was like, "Yeah, so I lived in Rockford, which is somehow worse than Chicago."
Not even close. Dude. What are you talking about? My city's worse.
Yeah. We got some pride, damn it.
Seriously.
Yeah, but he was like, oh yeah, if we wanted to shoot, and of course it was like it wasn't shooting, rifles or recreational. It was jammies. His guys got extendos, and they would go to an abandoned pharmacy and just shoot the like tube lights out. Yeah, he's like, yeah. One time the cops showed up. We ended up swimming in the river. It was a whole thing. I don't know.
Dude, that's a whole part of life I just cannot access as a small town boy.
Yes, it's
from
true.
way
Yeah.
back.
Where are you guys from?
We're from the outskirts of Seattle, Washington. So
Not in the city proper, but in like the
a suburb of a suburb.
Yeah.
I would say.
Not really the sticks. Still the suburbs.
No, yeah. I mean, everything was within 20 minutes, from where.
But,
we were
like
at,
everybody
but-
had like an
okay.
acre and a half sort of situation.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
outside enough to where you could hang out on your
We were
props.
just far enough where the meth started to bleed into the community, So there's the designer city drugs, but we got hit with the methamphetamine
methamphetamine situation. So
those
that-
opiates.
Man, that thing I was talking about, that what do you call it? Posture correction. I
Yeah.
wish I brought it.
So he's on posture correction. We talked about this before the show.
Oh.
So you're strapped up like one of those old cops, who's got like a
got
gut.
those holsters.
Yeah.
And you're kind of just like splayed out there. But from the back, I was telling him it looks like a bra, but from the front, it looks very manly.
Really accentuates.
Yeah, well,
those
no, where's the
muscles.
support though? Actually, if from the back it looks like a
Yeah,
bra, where's
it's
the
like-
strap? Where's the strap?
See, there is no strap on the stomach.
The things
Uh,
they're doing
the
with
thing is,
science
like,
nowadays, dude.
Yeah. Just imagine like it's kind of stretchy and it kind of pulls your shoulders back.
Wow,
Right? And
yeah.
So you're kind of like this. I'm already feeling it right now. I've been wearing it all day, and so right now I'm kind of sore and I can feel my slouch coming back on. You know,
Yeah.
and that's why I bought it. I was working, and
Because you work from home.
I do. I work
Yeah.
from home. Yeah. But I was working at my desk, sitting down, and I was feeling like crap. And I looked over to my right. I've got this like standing tall mirror, and I saw myself just slouched.
Just trog
dude.
mode.
Yeah. I was like, damn, you ugly, dude.
Yeah,
like, and immediately just like jumped on Amazon, just like started researching like, posture correction. Like,
Yeah.
how do I fix this, man? And it's kind of bad because I've always had a bad slouch, but if you slouch long enough, and you'll know who the slouchers are, because if they have
I'm
their
a sloucher.
Dude,
Yeah.
you got Do you have the lines to prove it?
Oh, on the stomach?
Dude, the stomach
Yeah,
lines.
yeah. After a long day at work, definitely got the stomach lines.
Yeah, but those things are permanent, bro. Like, that's like reverse like stretch marks, man. Like there's no like going back from it. From what I've read, you can't really get rid of it. But thankfully, they're lined up in a way that from far away it looks like I have abs, you know. But then you look closely and you're like, oh shoot, this dude is. No.
It's like what we were talking about because last night we were hanging out and you were talking about how those bodybuilders have abs on top of stomachs. Yeah, on top of their big guts.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a similar situation there. Yeah, no. The big thing though is that I feel like a lot of people who buy products like that, they do like a week tops, or they overdo it in the first couple of days, and they're like, man, like I'm super sore. I'm sort of done with it. It's like guys who buy those, those electronic ab workouts you can buy.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
What
So
a beautiful thing.
yeah,
Beautiful
they're like a girdle, but they have diodes in them. So you just pulse your body with electricity, so it forces you to flex, like as a reflex, right? And so guys will be like, yeah, I did it for a couple of days. They're just on full power, just playing Madden NFL 2016 or whatever, and just doubled over with one of those things, and then of course they throw it out because it kills them.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing though. In my mind, better something than nothing. Because like I lack any self-control when it comes to my posture. And if I need to just do a diode thing for 3 days and then throw it away, at least I correct my posture for 3 days.
I made an effort.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. That's worth its weight in gold. I can tell my therapist I made an effort.
That's when you go to the bar to celebrate.
Yeah.
You're like, beer's on me, boys.
We made it.
I put on my bra, my posture bra. Man.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about working from home? Because I do it, and Dylan does it.
Yeah.
All three of us, I guess, are work from home guys.
Yeah, hopefully this podcast doesn't reach my like managers or bosses because working from home, man, it's very easy to do nothing all day.
100%.
And if you don't have the discipline to work well in that kind of environment with that kind of freedom, you're just gonna get worse and worse.
Yeah.
Man. So as to where I am at,
Previously you were speaking generally. Yeah. Personally, you've never done more work.
No, I work well, man.
Yeah.
I do my time. No,
I mean, I find that especially when things are relatively light, from a workload perspective, it's just easy for a day to disappear, because you do what you need to get done, and then you're like, well, I could push that off, and then there's no additional accountability, right?
Yeah.
Like the times I feel the most like productive is when I have a billion things to do that I need to get done that day. But if I've got like projects that are hey, that's 2 days down the road, that's a day down the road, it just all starts. Dude, it all starts to drain.
Yeah. So for my work, like I'm assigned a number of projects. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty because it's like insurance stuff. And so it's no fun to talk about. But I'll have a bunch of projects, and at the beginning of the week, we always have like an L10, a department meeting. My manager will ask me like, all right, Vince, what'd you do this week? Give me a high and low. And I'm just thinking like, oh shit. Oh damn, it's all low. I did nothing, But no, it's really bad because like that's just the line of work that I'm in. I'm an account manager and in sales, and so managers from different like insurance companies like Allstate and Progressive, their licensing teams will work with me and we'll meet together to fulfill their like licensing needs for their company.
Yeah.
So I mean, some weeks, man, it's just no one's calling me, and sales aren't hitting. So it's just like, dude, like.
Well, so this is what you say. You say my high was productivity.
Yeah.
I was very productive. My low was laziness, not low. I was very low in laziness. I assure you. Yeah. You just got to obfuscate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's honestly. The funny thing about that, though, is that many people have, and there's a whole movies about this. This is basically what Office Space is about. People perfected the art of doing that, but they just had to commute to go do it.
Yeah.
Right? Where guys would just go to an office, do 0 for 8 hours, and then just go home. Now you can sit there and, the other day I was watching the All-Star Excel Championship. As in Microsoft Excel.
Where's this going?
Yeah, I think it's called the financial financial modeling League, or Financial Modeling World Championship, the FMWC, and it's guys solving Excel problems.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
I only say no more.
Yeah. I only checked it out because
I'm getting a little worked up over here.
Yeah. I only checked it out because there was this viral tweet where it's like it was on ESPN2 over the weekend. They had like a
Don't
gap.
put anything on ESPN too.
So it was on ESPN2. It was really funny though because they had like these two guys announcing it, and of course it's the most boring thing in the world. Like the first thing is like, we've created a slot machine, but it's a weirder, different slot machine, and they need to calculate the results. And you're like, wow, that's that's awesome. But you've got two shoutcasters, like it's esports.
Oh no!
Right? And one of them is this guy. I think his name is his first name is Oz, and I don't remember his last name. It's really ridiculous though. And he's this guy who's like a Excel influencer. But he's like a 45-year-old black man, where he's not like, because when you think influencer, you think like 30-year-old, 20-year-old dude. But he's like a 45-year-old black man who like goes around and he talks to financial firms and stuff. But he's really eccentric, so he's got like a cowboy hat. His hair, he had like these parts of his hair were shaved and other parts were dyed red. He was wearing an esports jersey for Excel, and he was making all of these like JR and professional wrestling things where he was like doing those like Southern equivalencies where he's like, man, he's baking his biscuits out there doing Excel. It's wild.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
anything could be a sports nowadays.
I was this close to buying merch. I was. No. Just to
That'd
say,
be great though.
Yeah.
Get yourself an Excel.
That'd be a cool guy to get on Monomaniacs and somebody who does Excel for a professional. But the thing is all the guys are just financial modelers, so they're just autistic accounting guys.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I mean, it's crazy how esports has really developed. Because when I was a kid, I used to play this game called like League of Legends.
Yeah.
Classic.
I used to play too.
Yeah.
Probably not nearly as much as you, but
Yeah. What made you say that?
Yeah, Chad. What makes you say that? Yeah.
because you're about to say stuff about esports, I never got anywhere.
Oh
near that.
yeah. Once you're all played out, and you're just like, man, this environment, this game's so toxic. Like I'm out. I'm just gonna watch esports instead.
Yeah.
Because I loved the game, and those shoutcasters were insane, man. But it's so weird because there's so much going on. Right, it's not like a pass and a catch, and like, oh, he's running to the the fifth, and he's in the touchdown. It's not like that. It's like a million spells are being cast in one go, and he's just like, oh, and he goes, no. It's like a cattle, like
a cat or an auction.
Yeah, like a cattle auction. I'm just like, what in the? And you just feel like so overwhelmed by the screen. I'm just like, I feel like a baby being overstimulated.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why esports haven't caught on as well as, say, regular sports? I mean, I think
there's a million reasons.
I mean,
why,
there's millions reasons why, but I think there's a good argument to be made that like watching football, you may not understand the rules, but you get the gist of what they're trying to do and what's going on. You sit down, you watch a freaking game of Dota, you try to figure out what's going to happen or what they're doing out there. If you have zero knowledge, it's just I can't even imagine.
I think the problem with it is, this is definitely like the biggest problem why it's so boring to watch, is that there is like a meta. There is like a specific play style, and it is not sexy.
Rarely is it
sexy. We followed League esports for like a brief period when we were in middle school.
Yeah.
When was that? I think it was a long time ago, but
mid-high school.
Yeah. And the dog just freaked out. Lucy, the podcast dog, is here. So far, she has not smelled one of our crotches so that we would acknowledge her existence, but she is in this room.
For all the fans out there.
Yeah, for all the fans. She is in the house. But, you do sort of get into it once you learn the meta and you kind of understand some of your favorite players and you kind of go through with it. And, but the problem, there's two big things. Unlike fighting games, which I think like the fighting game community has probably the best esport thing because it's just so much easier to understand. Everybody knows how Street Fighter works, and the personalities are there for a long time. With League, those teams changed so much, and like you never saw a guy tournament to tournament. There wasn't much staying power to it. You couldn't tell a story,
But rip, guys. This is a show called Monomaniacs, and we talk about something on this show, a particular thing, right? There's a specific topic, right? And that is what our guests' monomaniacal obsession has been as of late. The thing that they've been focusing on. And so Vince, you're, as I always say, you're only on Monomaniacs a couple of times in your life. I always say, and you got to make it count. So Vince, what is your monomaniacal obsession?
Yeah, man. Well, Yeah, when Shad asked me about it yesterday, for the record, you got to make it count, dude. I'm like, this is like last second. So I was just like, so I picked the one thing that was actually like, oh yeah, dude, I have been obsessing about this pretty badly recently. Actually, like last 3 days ago. So, and it kind of stems from a few things, but the game that I've been researching and playing extensively just for 3 days. You know what? For the record, for our listeners at home, like I don't play video games. I hate it, and you know I plan on dropping it.
Yeah.
I love board games. But the game's called Hearthstone.
You
guys know this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too much into the game, but more into the reason why I got into it because it's just like it's so silly. I used to play that game Hearthstone, and for people who don't know it, it's an online like dueling card game, very similar to Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh.
Digital TCG.
Yeah. And so the reason why I got into it was actually as a form of like rehab from like my poker addiction. No, dude, I used to play hard, man. I played like a lot of poker.
So what do you mean by that? Like as in casinos, playing online? How'd you play?
I went to the casinos.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. So I was a hardcore gambler.
Okay.
So when I hit 21, I was living Milwaukee. That was Wisconsin at the time.
Yeah.
And I was working in a machine shop as a mechanic and machine operator. And I turned 21. My buddies there were like, "Hey man, you want to go to the casino?" I'm like, "Yeah, we play poker all the time." I'm like, "You play poker? Oh man, like." My dad taught me how to play poker, you know? And he did.
Yeah.
He taught me how to play some good poker, and so I was kind of confident, really cocky going in. So on my 21st birthday, I go over to the casino, Potawatomi, I think it's called, in Milwaukee, and I go over there, and I play for probably, I don't know, maybe like 3 hours, played with $300 going in, and came out with like $100. And I was like, as a 21-year-old, you make $100, and you're like, oh, damn.
Exactly. That's a chunk of change at that. Yeah.
Beer's on me,
dude.
Yeah.
So needless to say, dude, I was hooked, and unfortunately, I have a very addictive personality.
Yeah.
So
a monomaniacal personality.
very monotonal. Monomaniacal personality. Yeah. So, dude, I went like without my friends the next day. Right back, and I played, and same amount. Bought in for $300 and came out with an extra $1,400. Dude, I was hooked.
So that's literally the
sinker.
worst thing that can happen to a gambler.
The absolutely worst thing. A 21-year-old young gun only making $600 a week, dude, and I just like made, pretty much almost like 3 weeks worth. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was crazy. It was horrible though. I ended up going every weekend, and then suddenly, like, I was making quite a bit, after like a month or two, I was up like 14 grand. And then the problem hit when there was gambling. There's gambling, and then there's playing poker.
Yeah.
Playing poker is like doing all like the probability, doing the math, and being disciplined.
Chance, risk, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then there's gambling.
Yeah.
It's like, you're telling me I've got like a 25% chance of hitting this flush. Yeah, baby, let's go. We're going all in.
Yeah.
That's gambling. And I ended up playing every single night for an entire month, and I would lose. Some days I'd be up, but I would lose $600 to $900 every night for months.
So what kind of tables are you playing at then at that point?
So I'm playing, they're not high roller or nothing.
Yeah,
There's like 1-2, so it was just 1-2, and the minimum buy-in was 100, maximum 300. Then when you get into 2-5, things like that, then I mean the amount of money just gets into the thousands.
Yeah.
So but yeah, dude, I lost my money, all my winnings. Then when I lost all my winnings, we started tapping into the main bank.
Yeah.
And I went into my my bank account, and then after all that was cleaned out, I went into my savings. And, and I was like, dude, I need to get out. Oh wait, why are we even here? Oh, that's right, that's because of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So after all that, I was just like, dude, like I still have that itch, but I finally I banned myself. I'm banned right now in every casino in Wisconsin, Illinois, and a handful of them in Indiana.
Okay.
So how did you get banned? Did you like say, please don't serve me, or did you go and did you cheat?
Oh, cheat me?
Yeah.
Shad, why? Why would you say that?
I don't know. I'm wondering, how do you get banned?
I'm just
from
wondering, is there like a website you go and put your name in and they say, well, it won't serve you anymore?
No.
Yeah.
So you have to go to that casino and you have to go into the security room.
Yeah.
You have to go there.
If you go into the security room naked, they kick you out of the ban you from the
ban you
casino.
for life. It's the other. It's like, we can't ban you. It's like, what if I do this? You know? Woo. So I went in there and I asked him, like, hey, can I get banned? You know, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, I mean, like, how long would you like the ban? Like, we can do a year, we can do 3 years, 5 years. Like, I want forever, you know? And they're like, oh, a permanent ban. Okay, yeah, no one really asked for that. I'm like, give me it, you know?
Yeah.
So I got banned there.
I'm going to go look at posture equipment. I need a quick fix now.
You'd be surprised how hard it is to get like banned in every casino in a state. You have to go to every casino in a state for some of these things.
And walk past the tables to get to that security office.
Yeah. So I've played at a lot of casinos. Some states are easier than others, like Illinois.
Yeah.
I voluntarily banned myself for life in one casino, and that allowed me to. I was banned in pretty much every casino in the state, and then as well as every other casino chain throughout the U.S.
Yeah.
So that was. But then coming out of that, you know, I still had that itch, and so I was like, well, I love playing cards, and I played Hearthstone that one time. You know, I picked it up again, and it had some elements about it were very similar to poker. You know, about like the odds and the cards that you're looking for and the percentage, and then just doing the math.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed that. So I played it for a minute, and I wasn't very good, so I just like whatever, dumped it. But then recently, oh no, recently I saw a buddy of mine, Kirk. He was playing I found out he was playing like a video game on his computer. I was like, oh my gosh, you play video games?
Kirk? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, dude, I just found out. I'm like, you dog. Like, yeah, get me on, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so I you know, blew the dust off of my old gaming PC.
Which you don't need that for Hearthstone.
No, you don't. You just need a phone.
Yeah.
But dude, we're going hard, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I downloaded the game. I did a little bit of research on the current meta on the season, did a little research, built a deck, and started off at bronze. And literally in the course of like, I just like grinded for like probably half a day.
Yeah.
And from bronze, there were like, you know, I think there are six different ranks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then finally challenger for those tryhards who have no lives.
Yeah.
You know,
And where did you end up?
but in the course of like 12 hours, man,
Yeah.
I was playing and I climbed all the way up to diamond 5.
Oh man.
I was like,
So how do you do that though? Because
Okay.
like,
Well, I have a lot of questions.
I have a lot of questions. I've played like a fair bit of Hearthstone, but when it first came out, so ages ago. But based on my impressions of it, if you want a deck, no matter your personal skill as a player, right, and this goes for any sort of TCG, you kind of have to pay quite a bit of money to purchase a large quantity of packs, and then maybe, you know, because then you get resources for doubles, you use those to get singles, etc. Like, how did you get competitive like that so quickly? Were you a whale? Did you drop?
Was I a whale?
Yeah.
Nah, man. So they had this great thing, and games do this. They're so sick. You know, you jump on for the first time, and it's like, oh, you're a returning player. Welcome back.
Yeah.
You know, here's a bunch of shit, a bunch of stuff. Dude.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, next time I won't. I won't bleep myself.
Don't stress.
Yeah. I got a bunch of those, and I was able to build stuff, and I had some previous cards from when I first played, and I just like disenchanted all of them, and I bought new cards or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so all these guys, all these actual whales, losers, you know, bunch of nerds and tryhards.
Spending $100 on gems.
Seriously, I did this for free. You know. And,
All right. Well, so that leads me to the next question then. So you've got an addictive personality, right? This has been established.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
There is a monetary aspect to Hearthstone, right?
Because you're competitive now.
Yes.
But the next season's going to be coming up.
Dude, next season I ain't gonna be playing this game. I made it to the top. I'm out, baby.
So I want to ask you. So why would you say there isn't any temptation to buy in and buy more cards?
Yeah, you know, See, occasionally, I'll have these moments where I'll like crack or something, and I'll like play a game or play a video game that just like I used to be addicted to, and it just didn't have the same flair as it used to.
Yeah. I get that.
Nowadays, oh boy, nowadays, the flair only ever comes from playing really competitive games where I can destroy my opponents.
And feel their life force leaching from them.
Yeah.
It's just using it to integrate yourself.
Or the other thing would be like, from sneaking out and finding an underground poker game.
Yeah. Well, so I feel bad because I have played in an underground poker game with you. So.
That was an underground, man.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That was a good time because it's like, dude, we're all willing to lose our money. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But that is actually the problem. And I've talked to I think Jake or maybe even you about this, where playing poker with your friends where there is no risk.
No, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this leading up to the game. Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. It's not playing poker. It's pretty much like every single hand.
Yeah.
Everyone could have everything. It's like, I'm going to raise it. See, typically in professional, like some like high stakes poker,
Yeah.
there are things that you have to do, like push out potential like crappy hands that could hit a miracle flop, right? So in order to push those out, if you have a decent hand, you have to protect it. So you got to bet high, and that's pre-flop.
Yeah.
So when you're in like a buddy's game and we all just put like 10, 20 bucks in, you raise it like whatever, how many colored chips doesn't even matter, you know? And it's like, I call you. And it's like, why would you call that? And then it turns out they have like 7 deuce. And
Yeah. They have 7 deuce, but they're, hoping for that.
And they hit They hit it.
Somehow.
So
That's true.
that being said, would you say that now, maybe an average individual, they're not thinking about this, but since you've experienced the highs of high stakes poker, metaphorically high stakes,
Playing with like a Vietnamese oligarch, putting your finger on the line, that sort of thing, throwing car keys on the table,
pulling off your wedding ring, she's yours if you win. In that instance, right, like the contrast there is really heavy. So do you feel like you might feel that more intensely than other people?
I know.
I don't know. That game sucked for me.
Okay, good. Okay.
I'm an okay poker player at that.
No, and I think like anyone who has a basic understanding of how like how games like that work, even games like Hearthstone but poker, people who play a very calculated game would get very upset at that. Very upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to be cool about it.
It's like I guess playing any game, like say if you were even playing Monopoly and it's a long game and there's one player there who just does not care but everybody else does, like that person is the worst.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to be that guy.
The game that we played of poker had some folks who were playing who were very like, it was like their second game of poker ever, and they were playing together. They were a team. So it was
it was brutal.
It was brutal.
Everything it was decided by committee.
It was decided by committee. So I kind of want to speak on TCGs specifically and kind of comparing them to poker, because chance is definitely a big part of it. I know that Hearthstone, I don't know if they do this in ranked, but Hearthstone, Magic Arena does this, other digital TCGs. There's a lot of them. Those are the 2 ones that people actually play. Yeah. But they weight the decks statistically so that they have a higher likelihood of mana ramp. So like your mana curve is weighted towards, because you're more often than not playing your opponent once. So it optimizes your deck so that you have a more higher quality version of your deck than you would normally.
It's not true random chance.
Because if you're playing, if you're playing across the table from somebody, more often than not, you're doing a 2 out of 3 because the RNG is such an imperative part of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that definitely happens in Hearthstone as well. It's like it's impossible that like every single game you have low mana cost cards at the beginning.
Yeah.
You're like, something doesn't seem right here.
Yeah,
but I'll take it.
Because you've also played TCGs in person before. And I mean, do you want to talk about shuffling?
Oh man.
Before we move on to that, we'll talk about that on the Patreon.
We'll talk about that on the
I've got a
Patreon.
lot of things to say about that, actually.
Yeah, we can
I have
talk
a lot
about-
of things I'm
yeah.
not proud of in regards to that. Yeah, guys, we got to do something we didn't do in our last episode, which is thank our patrons.
Yes,
guys.
because it was Brain Trust, and nobody's a patron to the Brain Trust.
their own single entity.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much to our patrons for contributing to the show. We could not do it if it wasn't for y'all. You are providing us with all this new equipment that you see here. Our setup is growing by the month, and it's thanks to y'all. That being said, I want to thank our top patrons, that being Joe Papalardo and Zach and Amber Strehle, for really throwing down the dough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if you're interested in listening to our Patreon exclusive episode, which we record after this, it's only $5 a month. And if you want to ask us questions on the show while we're recording it, it's $10. $10 a month. That's all it is. Which brings me to questions.
You don't
from-
need Hulu and Amazon Prime. Although if you have Hulu right now, you should probably watch Prey. I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, whatever.
you can get rid of it.
Yeah.
But
That being said, we got questions from Joe Papalardo
okay.
to us directly. First and foremost, advice for lonely men in their 20s.
Vince, what's your advice for those?
Hey, I thought this was your question. Who is this man? Joe?
Joe Papalardo.
Oh
Papalardo.
man, you hit me right in the hurts.
We usually have the guests answer them first, or are a part of it. If you don't feel comfortable answering,
Oh no, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
because I'm quite familiar with being lonely in my 20s. Dude, oh man, what's my advice? Stay strong, brother. Okay.
Sounds good. Solidarity. I think the big thing is just make sure that you have a good and developed friend group and you don't isolate yourself, if that's the case. If you're lonely in your 20s and it's female-oriented, you feel lonely romantically, make sure you have a lot of good friends around you who you can spend time with and take your mind off that sort of stuff.
Okay, so I actually thought that was a romantic question, so I was like, how kind of thrown off.
Yeah. I don't really.
No,
I mean, I think it based on what it's saying, it sounds like it's a romantic question, but more and
But
more
that
people
is
are-
actually like definitely the cure to that, and it is just being around good people, surrounding yourself like that, and even having very good mentors,
Yeah.
Yes. Very important.
Which a lot of people nowadays don't have mentors. They don't even reach out to somebody. I'm sorry I touched your hand. That wasn't on purpose.
It's okay, dude. I'll let it slide just this once. You do it a second time. We're
We're gonna have a problem.
Talking about sometimes you just got to be a mentor to somebody.
Oh goodness. But a lot of people nowadays, nobody's really asking to, will you be my mentor? So a lot, you'll probably take somebody by surprise if you do say that. They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, sure. I've never done that before, but
All right.
it's true.
Second question. Okay, for each host and guest, if you had not gone to college, how would your life journey be different? For example, I'd be a happy plumber in an unfulfilling marriage. That's what Joe says.
Oh man,
Yeah. Did you go to college?
I didn't go to
See,
college.
there we go. So actually, how do you think your life would have been different if you went to college?
If I'm being honest, and I've thought about this before. If I went to college, man, I'd probably be married.
Yeah. See, Joe, it's the opposite. But, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Statistically, that's sort of
It
how
was,
it all works out.
Yeah.
It is, and it was a real shock when I tried going to college, and I was rejected
Yeah.
by a school that apparently does not do that often. And so, I
You're Jackson County Community College.
Yeah, dude, come on.
Yeah.
But no, it was my life would have been. Here's the thing, I didn't go to college, but what I did afterwards really kind of screwed me over, and that was jumping from one thing to another.
Yeah.
I was a sushi chef, a mechanic, an electrician, a film guy while I was working on sets. And electrician. Yeah, I just said that. and doing all that different stuff, trying to oh man, what's my calling? But the moment I actually just sat myself down, took the first desk job I could, and just committed to something, my life turned around.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. So.
I've had your sushi. It was great.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good. That
don't
wasn't
you
my
remember?
best sushi, man.
Yeah. Well,
that was Hillsdale sushi.
Yeah. Well, who was
Which
it?
is
It
a
was
whole
in,
tier.
Aiden
below
Cyrus.
him.
Yeah. Aiden Cyrus was in Ann Arbor, right, and went to a fish market and got the
I
stuff.
went with him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which I mean, we're nowhere near the coastline. You're not gonna.
No.
It's not a real fish market.
I couldn't complain. I
Yeah.
didn't complain.
No, it was
It's,
delicious though.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
no, I enjoyed it. But you know, as far as sushi in the state of Michigan, and this is coming from guys who grew up on the West Coast where you could get real sushi. It was pretty good in Michigan capacity. I would say, if not
Appreciate
very.
it.
If I didn't go to college, I would probably be at Costco, working at Costco.
And making twice as much as you're making now.
Yep, and have full benefits and all the vacation.
No, I'd probably say the same thing. I would have transferred. I would have been a supervisor, transferred to corporate, and made so much freaking money. It would have been crazy. But instead, I'm well-rounded.
Great place to be.
Yeah,
awesome.
Instead, I'm well-rounded and Catholic. That's what happened to me.
Sure. Hey, who knows? Maybe I would have been a youth pastor. Maybe that would have been my.
Well, so no, actually, but now I'm. I did meet my wife at college, though, so that's
exactly
a very important.
I would
thing.
probably still be unmarried, most likely.
What's it? Yeah. That's true. You would have been like,
yeah,
hey.
dude, you probably would be.
Which way, Western man?
Which way, Western man? So, were you like a grip or something on sets, or were you doing like sound gripping, or what were you doing?
No, so I was on the electrical crew.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we ran all the electrical lines and everything before the film
Union
guys came on. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Local 476 Studio Mechanics. It was awesome, man. It's kind of funny. We were talking about this, how like, in Maverick, Maverick, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
He's cool because he's like this pirate character, and he doesn't listen to anyone, and he's just like this gruff, like, man, I do my own thing and I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Well, imagine like everyone you work with is a Maverick. That's the film industry. Working on set is like everyone's just hot shit, and it's like, dude, come on, like let's just get this thing done. Don't give me your attitude. And then you've got like, when you are working on set, man, you've got directors like, when they blow a gasket, it's scary, man.
Yeah.
They'll kick you off the show, and you'll be out of a job. So you're so just like
attentive
you're
and yeah.
It's scary. It's scary stuff. Very high stress.
So did you work on film stuff or just commercials and like that sort of thing?
I worked on a lot of the TV shows in Chicago. So we did all the TV shows and movies, like Batman or Transformers. I worked on Shameless. Yeah, Shameless. Oh my goodness.
Did you meet William H. Macy?
I saw some locations. I was like, so this is where it happened. Like wow. So I've been to a lot of the sets, but that one I didn't get to see the cast or work with the film team. Like
AP Bio?
No, not AP Bio.
APB, All Points Bulletin?
No. I'm for AP. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna try. But like Chicago Fire, like a lot of the Chicago shows, like I worked
Chicago
on
PD is what you're trying to say.
Chicago PD, there it is.
Chicago
The
Fire.
Exorcist, man.
Yeah, there was also Chicago Medical or whatever.
Yeah.
The funny thing about those shows is it's the same thing with like LA, and I think they also have a New York branch of those shows, but they do crossover episodes, right, where there's like a shared cinematic universe.
Oh,
like, watch all of the shows. Yeah. People are dating each other from the different shows. It's wild.
Beautiful.
Absolutely wild. That's cool. I mean, like, I assume that for a while you were very aimless, but you do have that supply of knowledge, right? Those are all things that you kind of, at least master of none, but those are things that you definitely have in the...
And it's so funny because it's just like, master of none, but like, I don't know, like expert on like, it's not even, you're not even an expert. You're just like very well versed, and so you're very exposed to like everything, all sorts of different types of people, and just like how to deal with like everything. So I love the fact that I was able to do that. I wish I didn't have to because it was actually very painful, grueling couple years.
In hindsight, you can be, enjoy it, but while you're in it, it's a lot harder.
Oh, it's awful, man. Yeah. But
I think a lot of things that people who go straight to college and then kind of go straight into a white collar job don't really get or understand is sort of because I worked in retail for a couple of summers and worked at a fast food restaurant for like 3 years. When you're in those scenarios, 2.5 years, but when you're in those scenarios, you just meet so many different types of people and kind of construct so many different weird relationships that you never could have possibly thought. And it just changes your perspective on almost everything, right? Where you're like, I'm making these decisions, I'm doing these things, but knowing that guy is out there doing his thing, it warps your world in a weird way. It makes it a lot harder for you to just be very strict about interpretations.
A month doesn't go by where I don't think about that cook you worked with, right?
What? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
You were a cook.
I wasn't a cook. I wasn't Kirk Williams. He's playing Hearthstone. I wasn't a cook. I was like a front end guy, and like I made the ice cream. I worked at Dairy Queen. But there was a cook who, one day, and I'll do the short version of the story. I have a long version of the story, and maybe I'll tell it some other time. But his wife left him during a rush.
Oh.
Over the phone because
no.
he was the kind of guy who, like, if someone called the Dairy Queen, who nobody ever called the Dairy Queen, so they were always calling for him. And so right before Rush started, he walked over, picked up the phone, and started crying. And he came up to me, he's like, dude, my wife just left me. And I was like, oh, damn. Oh, damn. And at that point, it was me and one other person. And this girl was working the drive-thru. I was working the front end. And he was like, I'm in shambles. I'm going to teach you how to cook. And then right then, like, 4 cars hit the drive-thru, 6 people walk in, right? And so he's crying, like tears streaming down his face while he's telling me how to make the orders. And then he would just sort of like walk into the other room, and then he would come back and just be like, you love me, man, you love me. And I'm like, all right, man, that's real sad, dude. Putting mayonnaise on buns, right? And but there was a lot of other stories involving this guy, and there's a whole narrative, but it kind of ends tragically because I came back after I went to college, and my boss was this really abrasive Korean dude named Harry. And I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, how's everybody?" Right? And he's like, "Oh, we have a new chef or a cook. We have a new cook." And I was like, "Oh, really? A new cook?" And he's like, "What? You didn't hear? Nick died. He's dead." No. Oh, damn. So I don't know. It's stuff like that where it's like, that's sometimes something you really experience when you work just white collar jobs. Because I know guys who went to college and they start working for a consulting firm, or they move straight to DC and they never really did anything in high school. And like,
well, the funniest thing, it's like, what kind of pisses me off the most is when you go through all these different things. I was a mechanic, did electrical stuff. Good with my hands. I can figure it out. I can watch a YouTube video and figure it out. Like you get to that point. Some guys don't get to that point.
Yeah.
And so I remember asking like one of my buddies, like I was fixing his little sister's like bike or something. I'm like, hey man, can you give me like this type of wrench? I forget which one it was. And my guy comes out with a freaking crowbar, And I'm like, dude, that is not a wrench. Now, this wasn't like a big-ass, like, crowbar. This is just like one of those, like, mini, like, if you've ever seen those ones. It wasn't too massive, so. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, this is what your education got you. Like, dude, go experience
do I know this guy? Is it who I think it is?
I don't know.
Talk about it. We'll talk about it a bit.
We'll talk
about the Patreon.
No, that's true. And I think, I wouldn't consider myself like a super good with my hands guy, but there's just certain things that I think, especially, and I'm going to get a little, pushy here, but like sort of like as a dude, I think that you should just know how to do and have like a good impression of and know what a toolbox's basic components are, how to use those basic components, how to do basic home repair, how to, just no righty tighty lefty loosey, just basic stuff like that. But a lot of guys,
I would extend that. I would say that most people should know how to know those things.
Yeah,
just in general.
It's true.
I wonder how that even happens. Like you can excuse maybe like a billionaire who will never do anything ever.
That's true.
But for those guys who just don't know.
I mean,
to that point,
there are two things. I mean, they were never taught from their parents. They never, had the opportunity to live, like, in a world in which they had to do those things. Right? So they weren't taught. They didn't have the and then they just get to the point where they pay other people to do it.
Well, it's like the whole genre of guy who thinks that putting together IKEA furniture is difficult. Like that.
I never understood that, dude.
Josh just gave me the middle fingers, which is wild because Josh, has twice to 3 times as many tools that I have. He helped me work on my car on multiple occasions. I ended up having to take it into a professional, but like in those, I've always had no problem with IKEA furniture or anything along those lines. In fact, I would always be the guy when I worked at radio stations. I would always show up and they'd be like, "Corporate sent us like 6 chairs. Can you put them together?" So I would spend the whole day on my ass just on the carpet putting together chairs. But
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Do you guys mind if I put in a lip here?
Oh,
Dude,
go
put
right
in a
ahead,
lip, man.
Pack it up, dude.
There's no anti-lip laws on
Monomaniacs.
Yeah,
I can't prepare it. I couldn't smack. So
Yeah, we're
myself,
pro Nick here on Monomaniacs in
good.
every capacity.
Yeah.
So.
My wife is not pro Nick in the house though, so this doesn't count. Except for that.
That
That's
doesn't
good. That's your
count.
decision.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing on like isn't that new thing where it's like gum or whatever that people are doing? Or like
this?
no, I know that's a pack, but like aren't dudes doing like Nick Chewies or something? Like that's like all these podcasts and stuff are advertising them, like Lucy and stuff where
I don't know. I do know about nicotine gum. Is that what you're talking about?
it's not. It's like it's different than nicotine gum. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's like a chewy candy basically, but it's for Nick.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean,
Yeah.
do you eat it?
Yeah, it's for like airplanes and stuff. I don't know.
You gotta get me some of that.
Yeah.
You know, like what?
Use code Monomaniacs at checkout.
Yeah, good Monomaniacs. One day, hopefully. Yeah,
yeah,
gotta
goodness.
get a few more listeners before we can shop around. But
Josh, before I move on, what are we doing on time? 47.
Okay,
cool.
great. We got time.
Perfect. We got time to talk about the subject of the episode a little bit more, go into a little detail for those who will not be on the Patreon. All right. So I wanted to ask you a question in regards to, so you were talking about how playing Hearthstone, playing a TCG, right, helps scratch that itch for you, right? But there's also this other itch, which is the high stakes that comes from money being on the line and, the potential gain that could come from that. Do you feel like a rank system or, being able to beat an opponent is enough to sate that for you, right? Like, obviously there's no true replacement, but, how does that contrast feel?
Yeah, so it's very rare and very short-lived. And it honestly is just at where you're about to break into the next level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that promo, like, if you beat this game, you get to move up.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and then you're good to go. And so, like, that one right there, it kind of is, it's similar to the feeling of, like, oh man, going all in on a bluff and like you're kind of sweating just a little bit, like, oh man, like I hope he doesn't call me, And throughout the entire game, you just feel that kind of like, oh, it's kind of on the line, man. Like no mistakes on this one, So yeah, I'd say it does, but it's very rare and very short.
Yeah.
quick question, actually. This is just a specific poker question as far as strategy and mind games are concerned. Is there actually a circumstance in which showing your cards after a one pot, other than, of course, your opponent both goes to the end with you, is that ever a good strategy?
No.
Yeah.
It is never.
Because you always got to have that X factor.
Exactly. And the problem with me, though, is like, and I'm such a jerk when it comes to this stuff, like if I'm being bad already, then I'm gonna be the baddest, and so like I'll win a hand with like 2-7. Every single 2-7 hand that I win, I always show.
Just to make your opponent cope and see.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. And, like there would be a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
There would be like well over $1,000 in there, and like I beat you with 2-7. I've got your number.
Yeah. And those numbers are 2-7.
Yeah. I'm destroying you in every aspect of this game.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I feel like at that point you table walk too. Imagine that. You walk away with the $1,000. You're like, all right, I'm cashing out.
I don't know. When
No,
you're running
you
hot,
got-
dude. When you're running hot, you're running hot.
You let it roll.
Yeah.
Until you get hit a little too hard, and then you're like,
Yeah.
okay. Like, I'll go.
Yeah.
But
Goodness.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like that competitive. We played some fighting games in the past and stuff like that, and that moment of the final round, and if you win this, you move up a ranking, right? That is a beautiful high, right?
Yeah.
Especially if it lands, right? Like that's just you feel like you're on top
Yeah.
of the world for that moment.
It is. Unfortunately, I am definitely at the point in my life because I had put like online gaming like well behind me, and so when I did, like, I absolutely felt that way, like, oh man, it's so good. And then it would seep in, just be like, I'm playing a video game. You know, and they're like, I'm so disappointed in myself. You know.
Yeah. This is the thing. Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous. The thing is though that I very rarely play video games. I'll maybe play once a week or something. And but when I do, I don't really ever feel very bad about it because I know that if I'm not going to be doing that, I'm going to be wasting time in other ways, right? Because like I think that in some the modern person, when you have so many different distractions, it's important for you to set very specific productive things to do during your day. Like I try to write like 3 pages a day or something like that. Doing that. That's a positive. Usually the rest of your time is spent watching another YouTube video or scrolling on whatever social media that you're on or et cetera. And of course, like it's good to not have those things or to like not make this part of your life, but most people they do, and I do, And so whenever I'm doing the one time I play video games for the week, I'm like, well, it's better than watching YouTube,
Yeah.
Although it's not giving me, it doesn't give me nearly as much material. All my material is YouTube material. And the Patreon, I'm going to tell you the insane corner of YouTube that I got on last night. That was I felt like a monster. So get ready.
I'm nervous now.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. But
oh, goodness.
I can understand that though. But the cool thing, because poker, there is a certain element of lack of control that you have, right? And the cool thing about something like Hearthstone, especially if you build a deck that mitigates chance, search cards, draw cards, etc., gives you more value, options, that sort of thing. Well, fighting game is a good example of this too, where it's literally just skill, 1v1. Your mastery of system overrides, the stakes a little bit because you and your opponent, you are the better player in that circumstance. You are superior to your opponent because there's in circumstances, and when you're saying gambling and poker, where the worst poker player can walk away the victor, which
does happen sometimes, very rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely do they, because let me tell you, these casinos, they're just full of sharks, man.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting for those newbies to come in. And there was a time where I was one of the sharks until like I looked at myself and I was like, I'm a minnow, dude. Oh, when did this happen? But it's the one game, in the casino that I'll play. I absolutely hate table games. Like they are the worst. The odds are against you, Casino has the upper hand at all times. But in poker, it's the only game in the casino where there is a chance where I am 100% going to win this hand. There's no way I'm going to lose this.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is just like, you don't even have to have a good hand. If you play the person, right, you can find a weak player. And if you play with them long enough and you just know how they play, they always fold if they're bet way too much. They always think the person has it if they go all in, and you relentlessly target them.
Yeah.
Everyone's just trying to get a piece of that, and it,
Yeah.
and and so it's just a race to this guy.
Yeah, because what you're talking about, you're talking chummed waters.
Oh yeah.
It's you like 55-year-old woman who can't talk anymore because she had lung cancer, and then a guy in a cowboy hat just looking at this dude who walked in off the street and just know that you can fleece him for everything that he's got.
Well, it doesn't really look like that because 50% of the tables are like Asian.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
for those who don't know, I'm Filipino, so I can say this. It's pretty funny. When I sat down this one time, played a couple of hands, and this white guy looks over to me and.
This Guilo.
50% of the table were like Chinese guys, and myself, and then the rest were white. And this white guy looks over and is like, "Hey, man, like, yeah, did you come here with your dad?" Like, it was an older guy. So I gave him some slack. I cut him some slack. I was like, but deep down inside, I was like, dude, yeah. That's my dad. That's my uncle. That's my gramps. That's my brother. And like, let me guess, these other 4 white guys, are they all your relatives as well? Like, oh, we got ourselves a family pop, Oh, man, like that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, what is with that actually? Like Asian people in the casinos.
I don't know, man. I feel like they all just got we're all addicted. It's in our blood.
Really, you think so?
We all got gambling problems.
Yeah.
No, maybe it's just. I don't know. So I don't really know the culture in say China or I know, man, the Philippines, them aunties, they love playing their mahjong.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but yeah, they were always playing that stuff, and so I always grew up like relatives like gambling,
yeah,
like house gatherings or something, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So I wasn't really surprised to find like all my brethren like, just doing the grind,
You're like,
doing the time.
my dad isn't here, but my brothers are. Yeah.
Goodness.
that-
Guys, thank you so much for coming on the pod, Vince. It's been a blast.
This has been great.
Thank you
yeah,
so much
we got to
for
have you
having
back on.
me.
It sounds like you've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh
so.
boy, no, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
No
problem.
Of course.
Yeah.
Make sure to stick around for the Patreon. Do you have? I'm sure you don't really have anything to plug or something like that. You're not on like social media or anything where people
I
can
don't.
find you.
I'm totally off social
Dude.
media.
If you want your Vince hit, you got to go to the Patreon. It's the only place you could access more Vince.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, so thank you very much. Thank you guys for listening. And, make sure to, if you want to hear more, hop on the 5. You only have to pay. You can just hop on for 1 month. Give us the 5 once if you really want to hear this episode / our really great, we're slowly but surely building a pretty big catalog. So there is a lot of content for you guys to watch. And very recently, we've been kind of going over on our Patreons as well. So there's more than just the 30 minutes. So give it a shot and have a good one. Cheers.
Cheers.